I'm Joey, and this is my half-dwarf friend Will.
What up?
Will is here with me today because we're going to do the Titan Forge review of the Anvilborne warriors. So, we've got basically 5 guys. There are 2 different body types, 2 different head types, and 2 weapons. So we're not going to show every one of them. We're just going to talk about the ones that are different from the rest. So...
Indeed, I feel my beard actually qualifies me to talk about dwarves more than... You've been trying hard, and I'll give you credit for it, but it's not even visible.
I've got the whispers, but it doesn't qualify.
No.
So, we've got 2 different types here. Which face are you going to talk about?
Oh, I'm going for mecha mutton chops.
Right, so, mecha mutton chops, and go.
So, from what you've explained to me, from how these miniatures were explained to me, is that these guys are like little mini golems. They're like dwarves that have been crafted, and so they've got kind of like this steampunk mecha fantasy thing going on.
Yes.
Now I've chosen Hand Chops here. I've named him Hand Chops because his little face. I don't know if you can see this. It's got the beard that's obviously been sculpted by a dwarf, but someone's also sculpted little sideburns. They go like right past his chin, and I think that's fantastic. I love the idea that someone was there on the anvil being like, oh, I like this dwarf, but I think his sideburns need to be a bit more manly.
A bit girthier.
Aye.
But I think, actually, when seeing these guys painted up, is that this beard is actually metallic. This is beard armour.
Okay.
So this is not just mutton chops and sideburns. These are armour for your mutton chop and sideburns.
Which, if any of you out there have proper sideburns, you'll know that protecting them is like paramount.
It is. So we've got second dwarf head with fully intact, no middle divide. And I think this is also, so he's not just got beard armour, but also moustache armour.
Yeah, that moustache is proper defined.
So clearly, this guy's moustache underneath is so thick, it has to have a second layer of plate to cover it. Which, I mean, let's be real, in battle, is your first priority is beard protection. It isn't.
Hey, for some of us, we've been growing these, beards and tashes for quite a while, and by the looks of that, I mean, his tash is coming down to about here. You don't want to lose that.
No, you don't. So we're going to move on to body and armour and chest and stuff. So
I like these suckers.
So the backs really are the difference. I mean, the fronts are kind of the same, right?
Oh no, you got the hip. The fronts are identical.
The fronts are identical, and the kind of pointy bit in the middle is where the heads go. And we'll do a separate video later about it. But we've got the head bit, which is a bit pointy and weird. The arm sockets, and then on the backs, I'd say is the biggest differences. So this one's got a bit of a wheel and. Was that pipe?
Yeah, it's like a clockwork steampunk thing going on. It looks like
his gun?
I guess so, like some kind of like a coal engine.
They've also got a very steampunk cup, for your junk.
Yeah.
As you can see quite nicely here, matching cups. And your one has, what's the difference with yours?
Well, on the back of my one here, you've got kind of like more of a piston. It almost looks like a micro steampunk nuke engine, which I think is quite cool. But my favourite feature on this one is there's 2 little runes at the back of the hips.
Awesome.
And one of them's a lightning rune, which I like to think is for extra powerful kicking. Because sometimes you've got to kick a dude.
You do, and runes are paramount in Dwarven lore, obviously, for anti-magic, which they don't really like so much. So nice touch on the runes. So we've then got our legs and arms are pretty standard throughout, but they're very, I don't know, like Transformer-esque, noisy looking. So
yeah.
I kind of want these guys to creak.
I mean, they're designed to look like normal legs, but if you wanted to mix it up when you're kind of putting these together, you could put them reverse and go for kind of like an anime, like reverse bow leg kind of look, which I think would work with these guys. They've
got really tiny detail, if you can see on the ankles and stuff as well, really small bits, but I think make all the difference. So I'm quite concerned as to when these guys are finished and built, whether I'm going to totally ruin them with the spray paint. I don't want to clog them, so if I do, let it be known on record they do have a lot of detail that you may not be able to see later on.
But the
so
movable, be careful. Going back to the bodies and then I guess to the arms and legs, the movable ball joints are really cool. So I'm looking forward to when these guys are put together because you can really pose them with that. I believe that's similar to some of the other minis you've done in the past.
Yes, that is true. The arms, again, much the same, kind of just quite detailed, very small, very tiny to deal with, but altogether fantastic. So we've got 2 different weapons as well, which are our final things here. So
indeed. What dwarf is a dwarf with a hammer?
No dwarf.
Hammer man.
Dwarf.
Hammer.
So this one's kind of got, I don't know, it looks a bit meat grindery.
Really? It's got
top.
kind of like a, almost like a ghost in the shell dotted kind of kablam hammer look.
I think it would have done better to have kind of outward spikes rather than inward dents, if you know what I mean, because otherwise you're going to get bits of face stuck in it.
Oh, you've been clearing that out for weeks. But then again, like, if you've got a proper gore-soaked hammer, that's going to make people think twice about messing with you.
That's true.
Whereas this one, again, is more of the kind of the clockwork steampunk feel on this one. So you've got like kind of the cog motif on the end of the hammer.
Yep.
And it looks like it kind of rotates in... It looks like the end of the hammer could rotate if it were a real hammer.
That'd be awesome.
That would be. Spinning, smashing hammer.
I wonder if... Obviously you guys know that I'm terrible at building, which is why I've enrolled Will here to do the building, because A, he loves it, and B, I'm terrible and probably can't do these guys justice. But if you're more technically minded, to magnetise the tops of the weapons to have them twist.
You really could. I mean, this would be more a challenge. I'm not, compared to everybody else out there on the internet, I'm not the greatest of constructors. And I'd love to be able to do a micro version of the thing that a lot of people have been doing on the net recently, which is magnetising the joints, so you could like swap weapons and things.
Yes, but rather than effectively spend more money just for a different pose. So magnetising it is the way forward.
But I ain't that good.
Yet. So, considering you don't know the greatest amount about miniatures, I've done a couple of these reviews especially from these guys before. As far as the plastic goes and sprues and, well, the way the plastic can kind of come a bit frayed and things before you build it, there's not a lot that needs doing. I think you kind of, as you can see here on this weapon, there's a very, very thin bit of plastic there, which is probably not quite meant to be there, but still, they're really, really good. For the tiny miniatures that they are and the amount of detail that they've got, there's not a lot of cleanup, so they're really nice.
Yeah, I was having a look specifically over the weapons and bodies, and it's just like, maybe there's tiny bits that I might file a touch, but there's no more than maybe 2 or 3 minutes work to make these look absolutely smooth, so that's super cool.
So yes, our next video will be Will's completed assembly of all of these guys, and then following through to that one, I'm going to be painting them. So any suggestions on what you've got for colour, because I've done some steampunk Malifaux things before, but not so much in the fantasy, so any suggestions would be really helpful.
If anyone wants to vote for coppery or orangey-esque beards, then I'm totally for that.
You get 1 full ginger guy.
Yes! I'm so ready for this!
As payment for your building expertise.
Immortalised in a tiny golem.
Yes.
A tiny dwarven golem.
You will. Hopefully, I should be getting the rest of these guys from Titanforge to kind of get more of an army, and then I'm going to follow that with some dwarf lore, which is going to be the new series.
Oh, we're cool.
Yes. So I'm going to have all of the dwarves hopefully ready, steampunk-wise, for the Dwarf Fluff series. So yes, let me know what you think of these guys, if you want me to do any more reviews, and what you think of Will, because it can be a bit hit and miss.
You can be as honest as you want on that one.
That's fine. Well, thanks very much for joining me.
Hey, no worries. It's cool. I'm looking forward to putting these little suckers together.
It'll be awesome. Awkward Moonwave?